What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dr. Black, and I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to build upon what I was talking about yesterday, and I want to share this a portion of this video with you. I'm only going to share a small part because I don't want YouTube to charge me with copyright infringement. This is a recording from MSNBC, and just want to introduce you to someone and get a few seconds of it, and then we'll talk about it.
You got the Moderna vaccine. You have our next guest to thank. Dr. Kizzy Corbett and her team at the National Institutes of Health spent years working on a vaccine for coronaviruses before COVID-19 hit. So Kizzy Corbett of COVID-19 was revealed on a Friday.
Because we knew how to make that protein as a very good vaccine. We did that really quickly over the weekend, and by the 13th... Over the weekend. You know something about working on weekends, right?
Not like that. And joining us now is Dr. Kizzy Corbett. She is the scientific lead for the coronavirus vaccine team at the National Institutes of Health. We want to let our audience know that as we approach the 11 o'clock hour, that the 11...
All right, so we just were introduced to Dr. Kizzy Shanta Corbett. Now, Dr. Corbett is from North Carolina, Chapel Hill area. She went to University Chapel Hill. North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and she's from a part of North Carolina. They go on to talk about that, and it also says here that she is the daughter of Rwanda Brooks. So I didn't find if Dr. Corbett was married. We can imagine she is married because Rwanda Brooks is the only parent labeled, and maybe the change in name suggests that she's married. Maybe not. Either way, I'm super happy to share this video with you. You can watch the rest of the interview with Dr. Corbett, who, as they said, she is the lead scientist on the COVID vaccine, the Moderna, specifically the Moderna COVID vaccine. She works at the National Institute of Health in Bethesda. Shout out to my MD people, my DMV people. And so she was working on a vaccine prior to COVID-19. So she was working on a vaccine 60 years ago. So back when there was COVID-13 or COVID-12, So people have a lot of misconceptions about COVID-19, about pandemics and so on. And thank goodness we have other people who dedicate their lives to it and who focus on it, like many doctors and many infectious disease specialists. And we don't have to be know-it-alls. We could all have our own topics that we're familiar with, but we should always appreciate the experts who know the most. And if you're concerned about taking the vaccine or concerned about having a vaccine, watch this interview, because there's a whole panel and they explain why the vaccine's safe. And Dr. Corbett explains, reasons to alleviate your concerns. What makes me the most proud about watching that video is seeing an African-American female lead out in such a crucial, critical, beneficial way for society. I kind of started this page after being challenged by people in what's called the Manosphere. Men in the Manosphere. It's a tiny, insignificant part of the internet where a bunch of men gather together to disparage women. And then there's now a black Manosphere, an African-American group of men who disparage particularly African-American females. And listening to them disrespect African-American females as a group now, in general, they have all these ridiculous criteria, and they say that African-American females are useless, and today's generation is trash, and the girls today don't listen, and they have to have three things. They have to be fit. What's the three things they say? Fit, feminine, and polite, I think. I don't think they're all three F's. So whatever the case may be, these irrational, childish men, shouldn't even call it a manosphere, it's called the boyosphere, but these immature thinkers are painting women, and especially black women, with a broad brush and talking about their lack of value to society. And it confuses the hell out of me, because maybe because I grew up in a family of very accomplished, very successful, very respectable black women who contribute to society. My aunt leading out the way, Dr. Faye, with her PhD, and I have two aunts who have graduate degrees in medicine, like Dr. Corbett, even though they're not doctors. I have another 3 or 4 cousins who, and my sister, who has their undergrad in medicine, medical field. I have three cousins who are working for the U.S. government right now in the number one business area in our town there. They all graduated. My oldest of those cousins has her master's degree, her graduate degree, and my other cousin is well on her way. And even my wife included with them now, all work for the government and are productive, important, critical parts of society and benefiting society. And so when these men come together and tell me how black women ain't this, black women ain't that, I can't understand it. I can't connect with it. It makes no sense to me. They complain about, their children's mothers aren't this and that. And I don't have the greatest relationship with my child's mother. My child's 20 years old now, so I don't have to have a great relationship for her growth anymore. But despite whatever problems my daughter's mother and I had, that has nothing to do with black women. That had to do with the woman who I had a relationship with, and my failures in that relationship has nothing to do with anybody else. That's my failure, and the direct person involved. So these people disparaging black women, I just can't follow it. And then we have this magnificent example of whatever you think of her physical attributes, her mind leading out the COVID vaccine process that now hundreds of millions of people have benefited from, and President Biden has released the patents on it so that billions of people will be able to benefit from the COVID vaccine. Even if you don't believe in taking the vaccine, it's irrelevant, right? If you're one of those people who say, I don't know about vaccines, blah, 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 it doesn't matter, because there's billions of people who do believe in it. So it's not just the numbers, the majority. No, it's not just the majority, but it's the science is there, the facts are there, and the fact that we use those facts to support getting the vaccine is important. And then now we can look at how do we come to that point, and we can say that people who are in the boyosphere disparaging African American women, typical conservatives, are only in their little tiny box, and they're not looking at the bigger picture. They're not looking at people like Dr. Corbett here, who have literally changed the world. COVID shut the whole world down for over a year, and it is opening back up, not because of Asian women, not because of white women or Latina women or Native American women, but in particular, obviously all those groups helped, we sure, even if they're just Americans, they're all those other groups involved, but the leading doctor, and we don't need a million things to disprove a stereotype. Just one thing disproves a stereotype. One example disproves a stereotype. So the leading doctor for the National Institute of Health in Bethesda is an African American female who they claim is useless, who led us out in getting the vaccine on time, saving not a few, not 100, not thousands, not millions, not hundreds of millions, but billions of lives. And FYI, icing on the cake, she was born in 1986, so she's only 35 years old. So everything that you might hear, if you're one of the people who follow the Manosphere, if you're one of the people who understand why my page was created to counter the nonsense from that space, you know that they say, women aren't no good after 30 if they had kids and they're not married. A lot of people say, if you're not married by 30, you're a woman, you're no good. Well, I'd like to tell those people to shove it, because none of those people helped to make this vaccine. None of those people with the idea that making women get married and a woman's only value is in marriage. And let me be the first to say, if you've never heard this, ladies, your value is not based on if you're married. This is not 1806. Hell, this isn't 306. You as a woman have value outside of being married. Matter of fact, you should bring that value to your marriage versus being married and trying to find value. You don't have to just have babies. You don't have to just cook and clean and make crumpets and pancakes. You have so much more to offer. And here, look at this doctor. She is proving that point. You don't have to be traditional. You don't have to be old-fashioned. You don't have to be put into a little box that someone else can't get themselves out of. If you choose to be, feminism is about your choice. If you choose to be traditional and have a family and be a housewife, or to whatever extent you want to be traditional with your job and the traditional values as a woman, great. But there's other options. And yes, some clowns out there will try to marginalize you and disrespect you and say that your great academic and societal accomplishments are irrelevant. But thank goodness the manosphere is insignificant. What are they, 20, 50,000 guys on the internet crying about how, their baby mamas treat them wrong? F all of them. They can all go to hell, because none of them helped us to get the vaccine. And one of your family members, guarantee statistically, if you're watching this, one of your family members took that Moderna vaccine and is healthy and is going to be healthy despite whatever medical, anomalies where there are always going to be side effects for some people, some small insignificant amount of people. But the majority of people are going to be healthy thanks to, large part, we're not saying that she created on her own. No, in large part to Dr. Corbett. And I am so proud to stand up for her, to stand up with her, and to all the other millions of African American women out there who are doing similar things, even if they're not creating vaccines, who are educated and successful, and maybe like this young lady, Miss Rwanda Brooks, is a parent registered here, so she may have come from it's likely that she came from a single parent home to the top pinnacle of society, a doctor who has made a life-saving vaccine. Thank you for watching the video. If you haven't yet, go out and get yourself your COVID vaccine. I got mine a couple days ago. Make sure you get yours, and be safe. One love.